How's it going, everyone? It's Javi from Thunderstorms 5000, and we're seeing a huge squall line of thunderstorms that's currently impacting the Georgia area right now. And I know what your questions probably are: is who is this going to affect in the future, and why is this happening? So to find out why exactly this is happening, we got to look at the temperatures right now, and the temperatures really give a good idea of why exactly this is happening. So I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so you guys get the better picture. And just look at the stark temperature contrast between, let's say, Huntsville and Memphis. We see a huge stark contrast in the temperature, which is creating instability as a result of that, where we see temperatures near the 30-degree mark in Arkansas. But if we go probably about 150 to 200 miles west, we're in the 60-degree temperatures. And what this cold air to the west is causing is it's forcing a lot of that warmer, moist air up and creating a lot of these severe thunderstorms as a result in the southeast. And these temperatures are also very high because we're seeing a strong south wind that's pretty much been bringing warm temperatures all the way up to the northeast, where we're seeing record high temperatures in the northeast, as I'll show you in the GFS model. So this, as of right now, we see a huge ridge that's towards the eastern portion of the Atlantic, and that ridge is very close to that low pressure system that formed as a result of the cooler air that was dropping by, that created that instability to create a low pressure area where the warm air is. And the winds between the low pressure system and the high pressure system are bringing a strong south wind, and that south wind is going over that warmer than average Gulf of Mexico. Even if it was cooler than average, we would see very warm water temperatures in this area, and those warmer water temperatures increase the air temperature, and the south winds are bringing that air temperature onto land, which is causing the very warm air, the warmer than usual air throughout the eastern portion of the United States. And since we saw that dip in the jet stream during earlier during the week, where we saw the cool air kind of undercut this warm air, we're seeing a lot of that thunderstorm activity as a result. And we're seeing a lot of severe thunderstorms. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys get a better idea of what exactly is going on. So Panama City is right under a severe thunderstorm warning, it seems like, and a tornado watch, because we don't want to rule out the chance of tornado, because although the chance has decreased because the instability is going to increase and it's expected to decrease, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but there's still a chance of a tornado because that instability is still just strong enough to where we will see strong updrafts and mesocyclone instability and stuff like that. So we're seeing Macon, the thunderstorm is right at your doorstep. These thunderstorms are moving at a 40 mile per hour speed, and I would assume that in Augusta it's currently about 7:30 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I would assume by around 8:30 you will see those thunderstorms right at your doorstep, so keep in watch of that. As the thunderstorms just passed Atlanta, we've been seeing a lot of 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts from these thunderstorms, as that's currently the main impact we're going to see with these thunderstorms. The hail and tornado threat has weakened as a result of the weaker instability and the weaker updraft because of that. But we're still going to see strong wind gusts from these thunderstorms and maybe an isolated tornado. And what's maintaining our forecasts of tornadoes is this abundance of dry air just behind these thunderstorms. And as dry air infiltrates some of these thunderstorms, we could see tornadic activity as a result of this dry air right ahead of this cold air, pretty much. And so definitely keep that in mind if you're in the southeast, as Georgia, for probably the next hour, you're going to be in a huge line of severe weather, as it's going to be hard to escape this because it's a very long line of thunderstorms. As I'm going to show you in the radar, it extends from Panama City, and these severe thunderstorms extend all the way up to the Virginia to West Virginia area. And something to keep something to watch out for in these thunderstorms is if we see a little bit of a bow echo, that really that could mean that there's rotation within these thunderstorms. As of right now, there isn't really any like bow echoes I'm talking about. And what are bow echoes is pretty like keeping watch of supercell thunderstorms that are in a sort of opposite C shape. I mean a reverse C shape, where the thunderstorms look like this, where the dry air is infiltrating from the west, and as a result, the supercell thunderstorm kind of looks like a reverse C. So keep in mind that I'm watching this area where there might be a little bit of rotation, and maybe some and other bow echoes, such as one that's closer, far up north in Virginia, where we see a little bit of a reverse C, but it isn't enough to really define it as a tornadic type of thunderstorm. As yeah, so your question probably may be, how long will this severe weather outbreak last? And the good news is that it's gonna weaken as time goes on, and I would say around 6 hours and beyond, we should for the most part be out of this severe thunderstorm threat. And the reason why is because this instability is definitely gonna wind down. The stark temperature contrast I showed you, that was right around Arkansas, between Huntsville and Arkansas, where in Huntsville the temperatures are above 60, and in Arkansas we're dipping down to 30s. That stark temperature contrast will weaken as time goes on, and it's due to this ridging that's right around the Bermuda area that's so strong that it's gonna push a lot of that cold air back up north, to where that cold air won't really encounter the very warm south air, which will weaken the instability and weaken the thunderstorms because of that. And if we move forward, you see that dip, that the blue, I want you guys to pay attention to this blue line right here. That blue line dips pretty far south, but then within about 6 hours from now, it goes back up to around the St. Louis area and moves up back to where it should be. And that cold air won't encounter that warm air to create convection for these thunderstorms. And these thunderstorms will weaken very rapidly as we move forward. And the futurecast radar definitely shows that. So I'm gonna move a little bit towards the future. There's approximately, as of right now, there's about an hour from now, 8 going to 9 o'clock, we still see those thunderstorms defined. But as we move forward, you're gonna see, yeah, those thunderstorms, by the time they reach around the Augusta and Columbia area, they become very disorganized. They start to lose their the supercells start to lose their momentum, and the severe weather outbreak looks to be over by the time we reach the overnight hours later tonight. So that's definitely good news. However, what is the current threat for severe thunderstorms, you may be asking? So I'm gonna currently show you the threat today, and it's very enhanced towards eastern Alabama to the extreme western portion of Georgia. But now, since these supercell thunderstorms already hit that area, we mostly see a slight chance for a lot of Georgia, and then a marginal chance more towards the Atlantic coast, and even extending all the way up to New Jersey, where the chance is very slim for a supercell severe thunderstorm, where we could see wind gusts of 60 miles per hour or hail. The chances of that are very slim. However, we still could see some thunderstorms in this area, and I wouldn't rule out the case of having a potential flash flood threat in a lot of these areas along the East Coast. So that is definitely good news. And then by tomorrow, if we move forward, it should completely the thunderstorm should completely move offshore, as the GFS and European model is currently stating. So if we move forward, there's about 12. There's about 6 hours from now. If we move about 12 hours from now, we're gonna see the we're gonna see we're still gonna see rain around the northeast, but if we move 18 hours, most of the thunderstorm activity should move offshore. Most of the rain activity should move offshore. However, there's still a threat of snow in the upper portions of Maine and ice, which may be a huge problem for Maine. I can't emphasize that enough because this ice accumulation up north is going to be big. But anyways, I would say 18 hours from now, this is mostly offshore, and the east coast of the U.S. should pretty much be done with this. So the southeast, about 5 hours or more, the severe weather threat should end. But if you're in most of Georgia, prepare as if 60-mile-per-hour winds are going to impact your area. But next, let's move on to the snow situation that's currently affecting a lot of the northern portions of the Great Lakes and potentially the interior Northeast. As the bigger worry, in fact, is gonna be the ice threat that could impact a lot of the northern portions of the Northeast. So, let me see. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this, as of right now, we're seeing a pretty heavy band of snow that's dumping a heavy amount of snow just north of the St. Louis area, and a good portion of Illinois is currently in this area. So I would expect a lot of these snowfall rates to be right around 1 to 2 inches per hour. So stay indoors if you're in the Chicago area for probably, I would say, the next 2 hours until these snow showers move out. And then Chicago might very well be in this. And although we're seeing a dry spot near the Gary and South Bend area, I expect that I expect the moisture to kind of fill that area as the thunderstorms continue to move up north and encounter more instability, especially as it goes over the lakes where the low pressure could gather more moisture. So I wouldn't keep your guard down just yet if you're in that dry slot around the northern Indiana area, especially since we're seeing 1 to 2 inches per hour snowfall rates in the heart of Illinois as of right now. And then as we go north of that, Milwaukee is also deep in the snowfall. We're seeing probably 1 inch per hour, as this is all heavy snow. And a lot of northern Michigan is currently around under 1 inch per hour snowfall rates, maybe a little lighter than that moderate snow. But my point is that we're seeing a pretty heavy band of snow. Although it's very scattered, there's still like dry spots just south of it. We're seeing still heavy snow from the areas under this snowfall. So how much snow left is expected for this area? So this forecast is, oh man, I lost it. But so this, let me pull it up right now so you guys get a better view. I don't want you guys to really okay, so this is the expected snowfall, and upwards of a foot is still possible in the northern Michigan area and the extreme northeastern portions of Michigan, where they still have a lot of snowfall left. And those heavy bands from Illinois will still move up and create probably like difficult travel conditions in the northern Michigan area. For Chicago, I would expect between around 4 to 6 inches, especially in northern portions. And Milwaukee still could see up to 8 inches from this. So do not keep your guard down just yet. But I think let's check out the radar in the Northeast right now. And we're seeing mostly rain for the upper portions of upstate New York. And this is giving me the idea that maybe the extreme northern portions of New York might miss out on the ice threat, which would definitely be good news, because if the ice threat were to be as forecast, which is still forecast as of right now, I don't want you guys to let your guard down just yet. But if the forecast remains, we could see up to an inch of ice around the extreme northern portions of New York, and an inch of ice is just insane. That's like a half inch of ice is already dangerous. Even like a 10th inch of ice will bring major impact. An inch of ice, that's I would expect major power outage threat, very slippery roads, impassable roads, and just overall a very dangerous threat for the upstate New York regions. However, however, I think there's good news because it's raining right now, and that ice and that rain snow line is pretty far up north, so it's starting to give me the idea that New York might miss out on this. Unfortunately, it might impact Montreal more, which is definitely going to be a concern. But for upstate New York, it might be better news that it might just be an all rain event, since we're seeing far warmer than average temperatures for a lot of the Northeast, and that south wind might be pushing far that snow and ice far north enough to where they won't be impacted. So we have to see what we have to see ahead, obviously. But if we look at the GFS still is forecasting an ice threat for the extreme northern portions of New York. But the forecast is very difficult because if the low pressure, let's say, moves about 10-20 miles north, the northern portion of New York could miss out on this event complete, which would be good news. However, if it moves 10 to 20 miles south than forecast, which I doubt at this point, it seems like this storm is a little bit more north than expected, then we could see a major ice event. But I think it's more likely that we either see the ice event or little to no ice event at all for the extreme northern portions of upstate New York, which is good news. However, the forecast is still an inch of ice. Don't let your guard down. I would assume there's an inch of ice, so prepare as if an inch of ice is coming, as the National Weather Service still forecasts it around this area between a half to an inch of ice. And then for Maine, we could see up to a half an inch of ice in some of these areas. As for Maine, the forecast is a little bit less difficult because even if the storm does move a little bit more north, we will see we will still see a very strong big ice event in Maine. So definitely keep that in mind. But as we move towards and then for Detroit, for Michigan, Detroit should mainly miss out on this, but I wouldn't count you guys out just yet for maybe a 10th of inch of ice. But just south of Lansing through central Michigan, this could be a moderate type of ice event where we could see up to a quarter of an inch of ice accumulating. So definitely keep that in mind if you're in the Midwest. But yeah, I guess that's the end of this video. I covered all there is on this storm. As I thank you guys for watching. I plan to cover what's ahead a little bit later, because I don't want to put like everything in one video. I usually want to make smaller videos to where I'm more specific with each video when it comes to information. But I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you like it, and like it if you like it, and continue and turn on post notifications if you really like it and if you want to see more of this. And I thank you guys for watching and for the support.